This is a very creepy way to open a video. Really though, that song, Reigns of Castamere, that song is stuck in my head right now. Oh my god. I really want to learn to play it on guitar. I was learning the chords just a second ago, but I should really learn it. It's really good. Anyway, you're not here to look at me sing creepily into a camera. You're here to watch me talk about Sony. Because, ladies and gentlemen, E3 hype train rolling into a video right now to you. We're on the E3 hype train and we're going to be talking about Sony today because Monday did Microsoft, today we'll do Sony, Wednesday? Today's Wednesday. Friday we'll do Nintendo. But that's what we're going to do. That's the plan, that's the action plan. And so, we'll talk about Sony, talk about what we expect, maybe a little bit of prediction and stuff like that. But let's think first of all, what do we expect? Because in all honesty, they've laid quite a few cards on the table. Let's say that they had a pack of cards and the most valuable ones were the best ones. They laid down fucking like kings and queens, a couple of jacks here, maybe a 9, a 10. Quite a few good cards on the table. Not really any aces. I don't feel like we've had a true ace from Sony yet. Lots of kings and lots of queens. No aces up their sleeves. But we do know a lot. We know a huge amount because that press event that they did back in February basically broke down the system, was like, here it is, it's called PlayStation 4, it does all this cool stuff with online, it has the streaming infrastructure, it has all this kind of technical specs, here's Mark Cerny's going to tell you all about it, here's the controller, has a light switch, it looks kind of cool, it's flashy, it's all like futuristic, one might say, and we know a decent amount about games, we know a decent amount about Knack, about Killzone, about Infamous, so quite a few things already gleaned from Sony, but they have been pretty tight-lipped since then. We haven't really heard much regarding PlayStation 4 since that event in February, so they're obviously watching Microsoft very closely and looking at what they're going to be doing, because obviously with Nintendo bowing out of the press conferences this year, Nintendo still has a presence at E3, they're doing the directs and they're going to be there, they just won't have the press conference, so these two giants are duking it out with their new consoles. So Sony obviously watching Microsoft very closely and thinking, what are they fucking up? What shouldn't we fuck up? Because there's this whole Twitter campaign going around right now about hashtag no Sony DRM or no PS4 no DRM and Xbox One no DRM or stuff like that, just to stop the kind of used games problem that people are talking about, and that's arising with Microsoft. We actually don't know whether Sony are going to employ that or not, because they haven't really shown their hand. They have said that they have a potential used game solution, and they've been going back and forth for a few months as to whether they're actually going to use that or not. Judging by the response on Twitter and on the internet in general, I'm pretty sure they're probably not going to make the same mistake as Microsoft, because that would be a horrible, horrible error. And people would just flock to them so much more if that was the case. So I don't think that they're really going to do that. However, they're going to do a few more things, I feel. Some people have been saying that maybe Sony are going to show a bit more of like what the Xbox One did at their event, like a bit more of the entertainment features, though I don't put a huge amount of stock in that. They're probably going to mention it here and there and say, hey, you can watch Netflix or whatever. I don't think they're really going to put a focus, because I don't think that that's the market they're going after. They're very diametrically opposed at this point. Xbox is like mass market product, trying to hit everyone, and basically kind of alienating gamers, although, you know, here's the thing, think about it. The amount of gamers they lose from Xbox One, probably going to gain like 3 times the amount of mass market instead. So they're gaining in the long run anyway, so it doesn't really make a huge difference, I don't feel, if that's the market they're going for. The only thing is like, how do they really sell this to old granddad in the corner? Like, he doesn't need a games console, and he probably can use a TV remote just fine, and it'll probably confuse them due to the Kinect. So I don't know how they're doing with that, but I certainly think Sony are going to just continue what they've been doing. They're very they're advocating towards gamers, and that's what their kind of game plan is this year. They're like, we're all about the games. We are a games console primarily, and a kind of entertainment box second. So what do we want to see? What are we going to see? I think the big ones are the big names. There are lots of franchises that they haven't talked about yet. we know that Naughty Dog, they have two teams. Thing is with Naughty Dog is that obviously when Uncharted 3 was releasing, they actually put out a trailer for The Last of Us, meaning that, you know, these two blockbuster titles were being worked on simultaneously. One came out while the other was being worked on. The Last of Us is coming out next week, which, ladies and gentlemen, means pretty much that there's going to be a second Naughty Dog title pretty much 100% guaranteed for the PlayStation 4 in development right now, and it's either going to be a launch title or somewhere within the launch window. I'm pretty sure that that's going to be the case, although maybe not, because I guess PS4 development's going to take a lot longer, and I guess the overlap between Uncharted 3 shipped in 2011, so that's a 2-year kind of crunch time they've got. Not sure if they can really pull it off just because of the new tech, so maybe we'll see it later down the line and not quite in the launch window, but certainly there will be a new Naughty Dog game. The question is it going to be Uncharted 4? That would be a good idea from a marketing perspective, because you've got PS4, Uncharted 4, it's a nice slotting together of the series number and the console itself, and Uncharted is a popular series. It's a very popular series. Thing is with Naughty Dog is that what they generally do with their franchises is they do 3 and then a racing game, and then they finish it. Although, it would be pretty funny if they did an Uncharted. I think that would be really cool if they did an Uncharted racing game. It just doesn't really fit, though, in that universe, because, of course, Crash Bandicoot, whatever, there was Crash Team Racing, and then they did Jak and Daxter, they did Jak and Daxter, right? Naughty Dog did Jak and Daxter, yes. And then there was Jak Racing, I think. And then, so they have trilogy racing game. So they've had the Uncharted trilogy, no racing game. Maybe, but I don't know, because they've just released, or they're about to release new IP with The Last of Us. And I think that's going to be more of a standalone title. I don't think Naughty Dog will go back to the well on that. I think that they won't make sequels from The Last of Us. It's just going to be kind of a swan song for the PS3. And maybe they'll do a new IP on PS4, but it seems like Uncharted is the way to go. It really does, because, you know, they want to get traction from the start. And I know it's a nice time at the start of a new generation to start new IP, but they need some momentum, right? They need a known brand, a known name, and Uncharted seems to fit that. So I don't think that they're working on 2 brand new IPs, because Last of Us is already doing its thing. They're going back to Uncharted, probably going to be there. Little Big Planet. What are Media Molecule doing? I don't think that they're going to be the ones working on it, because they're doing some weird stuff with Move and some claymation stuff, which is interesting. Not really a game is being made out of that, I don't think. I think that's just kind of some tech demo-y stuff that they're just messing around with. They could make a very cool thing from it. And they do have their new game on Vita, which I cannot remember the name of. Cannot remember what that's called. Tearaway, that's what it's called. Which looks very Little Big Planet-y, is very cool. But I don't think that they're going to be working on Little Big Planet. The question is what other Sony internal developer would be working on it. I don't really have any kind of idea who would be well suited to that, because they don't really have many other development teams like Media Molecule. They're very much... Media Molecule are a very Nintendo-esque type of developer, in that they're doing very kind of cutesy, fun, bright, colourful games, and not many other Sony studios do that, not really any, I feel. So if there is going to be a Little Big Planet game, it's probably going to be developed by someone else, I don't know who. And then obviously there are the questions of things like God of War, Twisted Metal. David Jaffe, who, you know, godfather of Twisted Metal, no longer works with Sony, no longer works at Santa Monica, so he's not going to be behind any of those, that type of game, no Twisted Metal. But there could be, Santa Monica could still be working on it, you know, that's up in the air. I think 2010 was when the reboot of Twisted Metal came out, so that could, you know, 3 years, 4 years down the line, we're thinking maybe there's going to be one coming out. God of War, you know, this is the thing with God of War, is that same with Gears and God of, both G of W's, both some things of war, had a 4th installation this year. Both came out in like the same week, and both were kind of commercial failures, because they're kind of like tag along at the end of a generation. Because the generation's gone on for so long, those games were kind of tagged on at the end and kind of left to die because no one cared anymore because their respective trilogies had ended. So they're kind of just like, oh, here's a prequel to both of them. You can play the prequel. Yeah. People didn't really care, and people had a lot of problems with them. They weren't super well reviewed. They were okay, but I don't think that there's going to be a God of War anytime soon. They might tease something, but they have literally just released one, so it wouldn't make any sense that they'd be working on another one unless they have a separate team doing that. So those are, I think, the big ones that haven't been announced. Of course, we know, as I said before, Killzone, which people don't really care about, I feel. You know, this is the thing, like, as cool as the PS4 was in premise, the first, like, full gameplay they show, apart from Knack, was Killzone, and it just looked like every other shooter ever invented with a little bit more shiny graphics. You know, not really interesting, not something to get people to go out and buy your system. I don't think anyway, you know. It doesn't, like, from the monetary proposition that they're taking, kind of people who play Call of Duty all the time and, you know, like that kind of game, they kind of asking themselves, what's the reason, like, what's the draw of this new Killzone? It looks a bit prettier, that's it. Like, why would I go out and buy a system for this first-person shooter that doesn't really do that much different? And of course, we don't know concrete details on it yet, so we can't really judge it, but it's not really doing anything special, is it? So, not sure about that one. Infamous looks cool. I'm a big fan of Infamous. The first game I played a huge amount. A really, really great game. I went around and got all the blush. I haven't actually got all the blush shards, but I got like 90% of them, and it's really hard to go around and find them all because there's no like map system. There's a map system, it's really hard. It's not very well implemented to find them all, but I spent a lot of time in Infamous. I have Infamous 2 from PlayStation Plus, which I'm going to play very soon. And Second Son looks awesome. Brand new character, brand new superpowers, and yeah, I'm just a big fan of that franchise in general, so I'm excited for it. And then we have Drive Club, which is from the MotorStorm devs. I can't remember what they're called. MotorStorm devs. Name escapes me. Which was interesting. Drive Club was interesting just because, from a real racing perspective, Sony already had Polyphony. Polyphony, obviously working on Gran Turismo 6, or have just finished working on that because that's apparently coming out for PS3 this year. So I guess what they wanted to do was to have that kind of Gran Turismo experience, but not be able to have a Gran Turismo game on PS4 because they knew Polyphony was working on this one for PS3 currently. So they're like, the MotorStorm guys are like, well, we kind of need this as opposed to doing some crazy, wacky motorbike thing and do Drive Club, and they've done Drive Club. So I don't know, I really don't care about real racing games in any way, so not interesting me, but people like that kind of thing, so whatever. Drive Club, indeed, is there for the taking. So that's kind of what we know. Another interesting thing about Sony is that they've done very well at courting independent developers. Indie devs, I think, are going to find a real home on PlayStation 4, mainly because they are, you know, they are leaving the platform open. It's very PC-based architecture, which means it's easy for them to develop for. It has all the support for all the programs that they want to use, and there's no, like, you don't need a publisher. It's self-publishing on PS4, which is, you know, it's like what Steam does. The eShop does it. Nintendo's eShop even has self-publishing. Microsoft said you still need a publisher for Xbox One, which is probably not a great idea when you're trying to get, you know, good independent games on your marketplace. So I think Sony definitely have one up on them there because, you know, they got Jonathan Blow behind them. Jonathan Blow! Braid! One of the biggest indie breakout titles ever, and his new game, The Witness, is coming to PS4. He hasn't said anything about it going to Xbox at all. Probably going to be on PC as well, because that's just generally how things go. But console-wise, exclusively to PS4, which is pretty awesome. And they've got, I mean, they're already doing it right now. They're doing it with Vita. Vita has so many indie games on it that are coming to it. Granted, a lot of them are not original titles. They're games that have been on PC or have been on other platforms that are being ported over. But we've had, like, in the last month and a half, 2 months, Thomas Was Alone. Spelunky, just announced recently, is going. freaking Guacamelee, one of my favorite games this year. That game's fucking awesome. And if you've not tried it and you're a fan of like Metroidvania style stuff, play Guacamelee, one of the best games this year, easily. And Limbo as well. Limbo, hugely critically acclaimed indie game. So, all that stuff on Vita. And, you know, if they're keeping this push and keeping up, indie developers are going to flock to them. It's going to be fantastic. You know, they had a huge year, 2012, with Journey. Journey was like Game of the Year on so many lists. And the fact that they take indie developers and nurture them, like they did with that game company, like they're doing right now with Giant Sparrow. Unfinished Swan was their first game. I'm sure that their next 2 games that they're going to do are going to be on PS4. So that's very exciting, because a lot of the really cool experience these days are coming from indie games, and I'm really glad. I'm very happy about that because, you know, there are much more intimate and interesting and cognitive experiences than the big AAA blockbusters, and I'm a big fan of those, so that's good. What else are we going to say? I guess we want to hear more about Sony's stance on DRM, what they think about used games, what they think about... I'm pretty sure this isn't the always online stuff as well, but I also want to find out a bit more about Gaikai and how that gets involved, and we already know there's no backwards compatibility. That's just confirmed across the board for both of these consoles, so nothing we can really do about that. But in terms of Gaikai, are you going to be able to bring over your PlayStation Network purchases to get them through the cloud? Like maybe you can just play them straight from the cloud? That's a possibility. Also, Sony have also recently said that they are requiring that developers build in remote play for Vita. So every PlayStation 4 game will be required to work on Vita via remote play, which means you can basically take the PS4 game, zap it across to your Vita, and play it anywhere in your house. I believe remote play on Vita works via an internet connection as opposed to console, kind of like the Wii U, because the Wii U does like console to gamepad. I'm pretty sure it's over Wi-Fi, so if it's over Wi-Fi, it means you can really be anywhere in your house playing the Vita and playing a PS4 on it. So very cool indeed, and I'm excited to see what else they do with that. I've covered quite a lot here, I feel. I probably missed a few things, but yeah, prediction-wise, again, they're not going to release any price or date or anything like that. As I said before, Microsoft, they're going to leave that open. I'm also kind of predicting what they're going to do with PlayStation Plus, because I think that with the cloud, with PlayStation Plus, and with online in general, they're going to try and group those all together into one kind of package, like an Xbox Live subscription, but with much more packed in. So if they did something like, I don't know, $100 for the year, $100 subscription to the PlayStation whatever, gives you access to PlayStation Plus, all those games, gives you access to the cloud with all the PS2, PS1 games, or like a broad selection of them, gives you access to online, gaming, online multiplayer, all that kind of stuff. And just access to all these different things, cloud saves and storage and all that, and Vita and all this stuff. That could be interesting. That could be a very interesting approach. I certainly think that it's going to be cool to see how Microsoft handles that in response, because although actually they won't be able to really respond because Microsoft go first, but will Microsoft keep Xbox Live? Will they continue charging for online? Because at this point, with Sony's proposition of PlayStation Plus, Xbox Live is less and less appealing, and it just doesn't make as much sense, because you're basically just paying for playing online, which is kind of stupid at this point. So are they going to do a similar PlayStation Plus type thing? Who knows? Or maybe they'll just get rid of the subscription fee entirely, which could be a possibility. But that is something that I'm kind of predicting to happen, and we'll see if it does. So yeah, that's gonna be that. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, that's me doing an imitation of hitting a like button with my thumbs. Yep, I can do that. Also, what do you think? I didn't ask this yesterday, but what do you think that Sony are going to reveal at E3? What do you think of what I think, etc.? Leave that all in the comments. Take this thing, like that. That's how you do it. That was my impersonation of you typing comment. And yeah, I'll see you guys on Friday, where we'll talk about Nintendo, what they're going to do, how that's going to go down. So yeah, thank you very much. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.